This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. Great show today. The off day for the second stop in Division 1 of the Bassmaster Opens is on the Tom Bigby Waterway out of Mississippi. And the last two major tournaments that we saw hit the water would be Kyle Welcher's dominating 118-pound performance, where he smashed every record as far as how much he won by, and it was a top 20 heaviest weight record of all time. And then you go out to John Pearl on the West Coast with the One Bass California Open, and he had 102 or 108 pounds, something ridiculous, average over 32, 33 a day. I am confident in saying, and I believe both of our guests today who are competing in the Bassmaster Open on the Tom Bigby Waterway out of Mississippi, that no weight records will be smashed this week on the water. Is that a fair assessment, Darold Gleason?
Very Nostradamus-like assessment there, Matt. It's almost like you've talked to a few people and we've told you that it's a little grimy at the Bigby.
It is a little grimy.
Yeah, it's a little grimy. It's a river system, dude. So, and it's not like the one that they were just at over there where Welcher showed out. So, yeah, a little grimy. Kind of reminds me of like the old school Central Division Red River, Arkansas River schedule. You know, that kind of deal.
Yeah. Didn't they do one year? It was like Ross Barnett, Red River, and Arkansas River. And it was just a murderer's row for lower units. And so that was before forward-facing sonar, where like when you're trolling, you can't be like, oh, there's a stump 15 feet in front of the boat, 3 feet or 3 inches under the surface. I remember covering that, and like everyone snapped trolling motor shafts during that division. Everyone lost lower units. It was just a disastrous 3-stop.
It was, dude. But you know, like I done just the Central Division for years, so I kind of got used to that stuff, I guess, but it was always murderer's row. But man, all the river rats sure loved it, you know? So like, this is a good change of pace. We need to have some of these in like our schedules to mix up and show the diversity, like whoever's going to make it to the elites or make it to the EQ this year, you know, you be able to show up to these and catch your 10, 11 pounds a day. And I think that's going to be a pretty good weight this week.
Now, if I have read and heard correctly, because I'm not fishing Division 1, only Division 2, right, you can pretty much go anywhere on this thing, and there's locks everywhere, and you can lock basically until the locks run out. Like there is no like, hey, one pool up, one pool down. Like, is this thing are you gonna see guys just doing crazy stuff in this tournament? Because it's been a while since we've had a multiple lock event where right.
I mean, it's possible. You know, a lot of times they put boundaries on how far we can go when we come somewhere like this. And on this one, they didn't. So you can literally lock forever. But, you know, obviously, the more you lock, the less time you have to fish. There is a lot of barge traffic here. I've been seeing a lot of barge traffic. So there could be, you know, some issues for the guys that's going to, you know, lock more than once. I do think a lot of guys are going to lock either up or down at least one time. But I haven't talked to a lot of guys this week. I kind of just been in my own little shell doing my thing. Of course, I drove back in, you know, first morning of practice, missed a couple hours. So, and, you know, it's long days and all that stuff. You know how practice is. But, you know, weather looks good this week. I think we're going to have a multi-day event this week.
Oh, that'll be first time in 2025, because I know Division 1, one of the days was canceled or postponed, was it not, at Clarks Hill?
Yeah, we didn't even get to have a meeting at Clarks Hill. So we're doing the meeting today, like registration, the official.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, we didn't get to have a meeting. So we've had basically 2 and 4 this is the 5th event. There's been one 3-day event, and that was at Kentucky Lake. And that was not exactly fun, but it is crazy how the years has gone on. In the second half of the show today, we'll have Charlie Hartley on. Charlie, always check in with Charlie with the Division 1s. But you mentioned you missed a couple hours of practice. on day one. And you also notice we both have some very similar merchandise on. This is like a year's salary of BTL that I'm wearing right now, but it is what it is. We'll get to that eventually. But I titled this show Spontaneous Fishing Trips, Tough Opens, and a Little Bit of Golf. And there is nothing that I like better than getting a call from a buddy that says, hey, what are you doing? And then he throws a date out. And you have that brief moment of time where you're like, is he going to ask me to help him move? Is this going to be something cool? And you called me, well, like a month ago, 2 months ago, and said, hey, I'm cooking up something. What are you doing April 10th? Basically April 9th through the 12th. And I was like, dude, nothing. Do I have to help you guys like move campers or something? And it was way cooler than that.
Yeah, dude, like it was fun. I told you this year when I was at Clarksville in January, I couldn't believe you didn't fish that division because that lake suited your style and you would like it. I've been a couple times now. I think that was my second time there. So yeah, so I just kind of said, why don't we go over there and check it out? I'm always kind of wanting to work on like the heron fish, like we don't get to experience that anywhere. Does that go down anywhere in the country other than the East Coast over there, like the Carolinas and Georgia?
As far as I know, the herring thing is a Carolina only deal, and then
Georgia.
That whole North South Carolina and North Georgia, and then there's supposedly some herring that run through Oneida.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I actually did some like research on that, but I mean, it's not a thing.
Yeah. So
but it is. But yeah, no, that's a very unique part of the country. And we haven't been there during the herring spawn in forever.
That's a unique place to go fish. Clarksville, right there in Evans, Georgia area, Appling, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool, cause especially for a boys trip, I don't get many, let's just go fun fishing because it's always like a tournament or work or whatever. So I just thought it was a cool place. Had a cool venue we stayed at, lots of local restaurants, stuff like that. And it's all close. It's not 45 minutes away from the lake. It was all close. And I think that's pretty cool. But the lake is really unique, really cool. It's full of big ones. We just showed up with no knowledge and kind of went fishing and still, I think we had a pretty good day, caught lots of fish, just not, any like mega giants or whatever. But
I'd always heard about the herring fish when they get up shallow that you can like visually see them, and you've watched the Elite Series in the past there. That was the first time that I experienced looking at 20 to 23 pounds of largemouth on clay points in 3 foot of water and just like ants across the bottom swimming around, and how much I appreciated how those herring anglers like throw Patrick Walters in there or someone like that, like can figure out how to get those suckers to bite. Cause that was one of the coolest things that I'd ever seen. And it seemed like they were very easy to trigger at first. And then they were like, we kind of know what's up.
Yeah. It seems like on those lakes, and again, I don't have a lot of experience with them. So you appreciate all the little tricks and boys develop over the years. But you need like lots of places. Like we found a few places, like you're saying, it had giants swimming around everywhere. But if someone else had just been there and messed with them, they would be a little bit, funky. Or once we caught one, they would turn a little funky. So I would say like the biggest thing I took away as far as, tournament fishermen, you would need a lot of schools to like run. Because you could see them crawling everywhere and they wouldn't bite hardly anything if they decided they weren't going to. But like if you surprised them or you showed up, like when a group of that herring like pulled up on a point, like they would go crazy, and it looks easy. And those guys on TV make it look easy, but it's not easy. But there's also like some other bites going on. Like we caught a few on forward sonar, drop shot, and a few shaking a minnow, a few of that. But a lot of it honestly was like shallower style fishing. I thought it would fit you. Like your personality.
It totally did, the run and gun, but it also fits like let's say you're with someone who's not some might qualify me as this. Let's say you're with someone who's not like a hardcore bass angler.
Right. Yeah,
But you can tie something on, and as long as they can cast a spinning rod far and real fast, that's like your best chance to catch them. Like it's just, and you don't have to be an expert at anything. That's what I thought was interesting was you can just point hop, chuck it up in 2 foot of water during this time of the year, burn it back, and have a chance at a mega just flushing it.
Yeah, and that's unique to some of the places I've traveled. Like you've traveled all over now too. It's a lot of lakes have their own characteristics. It takes a while to learn them, but that lake in particular, it's so full of both largemouth and spots, which is cool. It's got big spots and big largemouth. You can just show up off the street, like bring the family or take a kid, or like you're saying, anyone can show up and have opportunities to catch fish there. Where a lot of places, like you're punching grass or you're doing like big cranks. Like there's different techniques that are hard to do at some places, but that one, you can do a whole bunch of stuff that's easier techniques to get some bites.
So we were on Clark's Hill for a day, and we kind of had this discussion in the boat, but neither of us get an opportunity to just fun fish for bass, not in preparation for a tournament. If I have an off day, I'm crappie fishing.
Yeah.
But we had that day on Clark's Hill where we were staying in an awesome place. We knew we were going to get barbecue afterwards. We had all day. We had great weather to fish.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible for hardcore tournament fishermen to have a day on the water where they're not fishing for something on the line? Because we didn't have anything on the line and we still made a contest out of it. Do you think that is like built into the DNA of a tournament fisherman, that they either have to be learning something for an upcoming tournament or competing against someone for something?
Oh, absolutely. Because we're competitive. We make up dumb challenges. Like we made a little challenge up and it was fun. And, it looks like at Leech Lake, like I'll have a BTL sticker, spoiler alert, on my boat. But what you haven't thought of yet is that you'll be getting a contract as my newest sponsor, and I'll expect a fat check. But
that was not part of the deal.
We're competitive nerds, dude. So like we're gonna make it that way. But I thought it was a fun way too. Like you said, we don't get lots of fun days to do that. So I still feel like we were competitive, but it was for me, it was a fun release, especially before, coming to the Big B, where I knew you got to put your, work hat back on and get to work at a tougher fishery. Right. So it was fun. I mean, honestly, we should do a boys trip every year somewhere like that.
Oh, I'm totally in on it.
Just something off the cuff, different. It was fun. And I think like a lot of your viewers, that's what fishing is for a lot. Even the guys at fish tournaments, they know what I'm talking about. Like prior to me turning pro and doing all those things, I was a school teacher, and every weekend it was Toledo Bend or Rayburn, either in a tournament, practice for a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like I regret none of that, I promise. But it is still fun to kind of look back and be like, well, this is what it used to be. You used to just jump in the boat with a buddy, go do this. And like you said, we stayed at a place called Pine Knoll Farms. It's really a wedding venue. It's literally on a farm. It's a wedding venue. But they have these cool little cabins. And during the week when there's not a wedding going on, it's probably one of the coolest places. That's a good photo there. Yeah, that was us strolling around watching the cows. But
that's what the whole place looks like. It's unbelievable.
Traveling around with your boat and stuff, how often you get to literally you're on a farm. It's so quiet, so you can get rest. We chilled on the porch every evening, watched the sun go down, hung out. There's horses, cows, chickens, donkeys. We petted the donkey. No one lost a finger. But it was a cool place. It's nice and quiet during the week there because it is a wedding venue. So a lot of times on the week, it's not super booked out. They only have 8 cabins or 10 cabins maybe?
Yeah.
So even when it's busy, it's not super busy. But cool place to stay. And 5 minutes down the road was the little town, Evans, Georgia. And I say little.
Mm-hmm.
It's little compared to Atlanta, but tons of cool restaurants and all that. So we went to, we did Smoking Barrels. That was the barbecue joint
with the tri-tip.
Yeah, that was a really cool little
We got
restaurant.
that twice. Actually, we got it 3 times because you got it in sandwich form.
Yep, I went.
And then I got it as my main meal twice.
But it was a winner.
And then what was the place next to it where we tripled up on the shrimp?
That was Ironwood Tavern. So me and my wife had went there and done pizzas when we were there in January. Cool. It's a cool tavern. Both of them kind of like a tavern bar kind of feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ironwood Tavern was legit, and Smoking Barrels both cool restaurants. But again, it's like 5 or 6 minutes from our cabin. Like, it was all so convenient. It just doesn't seem like that works out very often in a lot of the places we travel, where everything's relatively close.
No, I think we do a trip like that in between tournaments every year. Once you just a reset trip.
Yeah, and that's
fun. Remind you why you travel and stuff. Because I mean, dude, the fact of the matter is, like, we travel, it's stressful. Because you're trying to find the fish. You've got something on the line. With the 4 tournaments, You're like, the season could be over at any point of the 2 days. Where do you stay? Do you have the power for it? How much is, like, all of that stuff? And it was nice to just kind of reset and just go fun fish.
Yeah, no, and especially like now in the opens, like, one bad day and you're toast, right? So it is a lot of pressure. And I think we both agree we're nerds because we love it. We love the pressure and all that. But I just thought that was a good reset. Like, I needed that mentally. Like, it was fun. Like, I mean, I don't think we had bass fish together. You took me crappie fishing one time.
Yeah, we just crappie fish. Now, we smashed them crappie fishing. But like I said, if I have an off day, I crappie fish.
Right.
And
usually I go golfing. So it's fun, even to be in the boat with someone who does things different, just to collaborate a little bit and like learn stuff. Like, I learned stuff just being in the boat with you. Like, mostly that you'll front end someone in their own boat. If there's
Did I front end you in your own boat?
Yeah, it was very difficult for me for another man's foot to touch my trolling motor. It was really hard mentally.
Well, I believe the first couple of times you said, "Go ahead, dude, run it," when you were retying. But there were a lot of times when I could have gotten my bait down to where because you were throwing the wacky rigged stick bait, the Ocho, a bunch, and I was like, did you not notice the times where I didn't cast on you and let your bait get down to the fish?
I noticed that it always was directly after I would like let's say I pointed one out like by a tree and said, "Oh, there's a fish," and you threw over, and I was like,
"Well, why would you point it out? Isn't that the point of pointing it out, to say, hey, let's try to catch that specimen?"
Guide, and a good host. Okay.
Will you not agree? Also, though, once I got up 5-1, I backed off. I gave you first shot at some of what appeared to be the most active fish. Maybe let you get the first point on the clay point.
But you're not going to take the good guy award from me. I know, like, you've had a couple of rough events this year, and this was honestly, it was one of those things where, you know, me and your listeners had talked about, like, Matt needs a W here, and so
listen, it's not like I got on something and caved your head in on it. I was mixing it up. I was blind casting. The first 5
blind casting, you was all about it.
Blind casting a minnow, that sashimi shad. So what Darold doesn't say is he met a local at the boat ramp who gave him a magic bait, but then he tied it on and didn't throw it. So I picked it up and caught him on it.
Like, I couldn't have all the rods in my hand at one time. It reminded me, like, back in the day, like with some of my tournament partners. Like, I'd put down my crankbait and go to grab my jig, and I'm like, "Where's my jig?" And they'd have my jig in their hand.
Drop shot. Caught him on a drop shot.
Yeah, it was.
Caught him on a fluke.
How many baits? I mean, you caught one on the dock while I was talking to said local, visiting a minute. You caught one right off the dock, and I mean, that's kind of cheating, but, you know, and if we're going to be honest here, you are the first person to break a rod in my boat ever.
That was on me. That was on me. I high sticked a 2-pound spotted bass and folded a rod. You've never, in all of your years of guiding on Toledo Bend and that, you've never had a client break a rod.
Never had a client break a rod. I did have a client one time. Funny story. Like, one of them had never caught a fish before, very new, and he caught one when he was reeling it in and all that. The other guy, like, wanted to video, so he set his rod down to video. And this guy catches a 5-pounder, first fish ever. We're all freaking out. I net it for him. It was a cool deal, right? We get back to go fishing, and the guy's like, "Where's my rod?" The guy that took the photo, "Where's my rod?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What'd you do with it?" He's like, "I set it down." Rod gone. Never saw the rod and reel again. No clue. Like, if a fish got it, it got hung in a stump. No clue.
It just fell overboard.
Yeah, but it was worth it. I mean, dude's first fish is a 5-pounder. I'll give up a rod and reel, you know.
I have lost. Oh, dude, I've got a crazy story. So I was on. I'll say it. I know you guys are good, but this is important. Why? I was on the St. Lawrence River a couple years ago, and I caught one, and I'm back culling, and I had my spot lock on because I wanted to keep my boat in the same location, right? So I was unaware that when I had put my rod down, my line was in the water. So I had my spot lock on and key component. I had left my bail open, which I didn't know. I was excited that I had caught a big one. Yeah. So I call, I'm like, heck yeah. I stand back up on the front deck and I'm like, the hell is my rod? Like where, like it's just gone. Like nothing happened. Like, I mean, I remember putting my rod down like on the front deck and it's gone. And on top of it, my buddy Jared Miller had let me borrow 2 of his Shimano Stellas. Like the $980 spinning reel. So it was a Stella with braid, like that I would have to replace if I did not relocate said rod and reel. And I look for it, nothing. And I take it off spot lock and I'm like, something's jacked up with the trolling motor. And I lift the trolling motor up and I've got 150 yards of braid like wrapped around the trolling motor.
Oh yeah.
And I start like pulling it. And it turns out that I had dropped the line over the side when I wasn't paying attention. The motor had caught it. And then before it had spooled it jerked the rod into the water. And I ended up hand lining with no braid on it left, that rod and reel back into the boat. Somehow it didn't cut the line. God, I mean, it was long way away from where the boat was.
Right.
And then had to spend 20 minutes cutting all the braid and taking the trolling motor shaft off. But I ended up getting that one back.
Yeah, that was a win.
Yeah, definitely a win.
Luck there. I didn't have that luck, but again, like when you're a guy and a dude's first fish is a 5-pounder, it's a moment. So,
did you see what Jordan did at the Classic?
What's that?
Did you see what Jordan Lee did at the Classic? He was idling past those trees, and the tree grabbed his rod, and then it all went overboard, and then he didn't spend time looking for it. Put the GPS coordinates out on his Instagram and Facebook, said, hey, you can keep them if you find them. Just wanted to let you know, put the video of the rods going overboard. And some dude went like the next day and found him.
I didn't realize somebody found him. I saw him make a post. That's a Jordan Lee move right there. How cool is that?
Yeah, very, very cool. So somehow then, this is the next part that we're going to talk about. Somehow then through witchcraft, of which I am not aware of, you procured, secured, obtained, purchased.
I came across.
Finagled.
However you want to say it. I scored 2 tickets to Friday at the event, unlike any other, at Augusta, Georgia, the Masters. That's why, y'all see all the merch now.
Yeah, so that was the second half of the trip was let's fish Clark's Hill, and then do you want to go to the Masters?
Yeah, that was just we'll call it luck, fate, whatever. I'm a lucky dude. I can play the lottery and win all kinds of things. Just not a lot of money. But
yeah, for those that don't know, before we get into this part, Darold is are you the reigning and defending club champion?
I am at Cypress Bend Resort,
which is the premier golfing destination located on Toledo Bend Reservoir. So if you put your boat in at Cypress Bend, which is where all the tournaments take out of, and you're idling out past the pavilion and you look to your right, you will see a big grassy field.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, you can see
they've
redone it. You can see more of the holes over there. Like, that's where I proposed to my wife over on the golf course. If you listen closely, you can hear the hallowed cheers echo through the piney woods of West Louisiana of Gleason. I'm a member there, and it is such a fun group of dudes that I play with. We have several like fun members things and games we do and contests and tournaments. Again, we're all nerds. We like to gamble a little bit and like to play a lot. And I was able to win by 1 stroke. I beat the best golfer there for sure. I think he allowed me to get him by a stroke. But cool deal. Got my name on the trophy. Like we have a trophy with all the past winners' names on it. And I don't know, it's kind of special to get that. It was fun. That was something we did back in the off season, November, I think.
That's the course right there, right? And that's actually Toledo Bend.
Yeah. The hole on the left you see right by the water, that's the hole let me see. I want to make sure that's the hole I popped the question.
Well, I think here's the
hole 17, one all the way on the left out by the water, sunset view. And this was like me and my wife's been married over 20 years. This was back when you did the proposal without 400 people there videoing and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, right there on the left with the 3 bunkers. That's the only par 3 I have not made a hole-in-one yet there. I have 3 hole-in-ones, special stuff, cool stuff. Every time, like with a group of buddies too, you talk about I guess we'll do a little comparison here. I guess that'd be like catching a 10-pounder with a buddy in the boat is making a hole.
Sweet.
Except at the golf course, a lot of times, if you make a hole in one, there's like a beer infused party that goes on. You know what I mean? So
I'd say this story and talk about your accolades on the golf course to say that the Masters is a special place for you. Right. And I've never seen anyone so geeked out in my entire life to do something, which was pretty wild. To me, like walking in was nuts. Like that first 30 seconds where you're like looking around and you're like, holy cow, we're like actually in here for the day and we have so many fun activities ahead.
Hey, can I say one? I think the coolest part about it, and I actually wish we could implement this in life more. No cell phones, no cameras. Yeah. The only memory you'll have of that day is me and you telling stories, talking about it to each other. Yeah. And I thought that was so special. And again, comparing it to fishing, we should do that more often. Put our phones up and enjoy the day. But
yeah, I actually said to you, I need to do this one day a month and get 12 reset years where you keep your cell phone in the bedroom when you wake up and you go do something for that day. Yeah.
It was cool though. Like they walk you in, so we're all lined up outside before and they literally walk you in, no running. They walk you in, security walks you in and stuff. And you sit there waiting to go put your chair out. And like you said, I was pretty geeked out. You got to go put your chair in a good spot. I had a game plan. I think we executed it perfectly. We got to sit on the 18th green, was really cool. But you say how geeked out I was. You were the exact opposite.
What do you mean?
You were a frightened child, so worried that you were going to do something wrong while we were sitting at the 18th green.
No, that is not true.
A player, Minwoo Lee, hit one over literally in our laps. And while he was hitting, you look like a robot straight ahead.
Well, Minwoo Lee was, in my defense, Minwoo Lee was 6 feet from where we hit, and I'm gonna pull the photo up, Daryl. He was 6 feet. We were literally the closest human being to Minwoo Lee at the time of when he hit it.
His golf bag was within arm's reach. I could touch a club. It was
so that's cool. Where we were right there, and where that red circle is. Oh, you can see it. That's the course right there, and that red circle is me and you. We actually made the broadcast on 18 sitting, but it would have been I'm trying to think of what it would be the equivalent of. You're watching Kevin Van Dam, and all of a sudden he pulls up next to you and says, "Don't move your boat. I'm going to sit here and cast somewhere." And it's day 2 of the Bassmaster Classic, and it's his last stop of the day, and you could literally just step into Kevin Van Dam's boat, and you're no longer watching the tournament. You are now in the rope. We were inside the ropes. It was the wildest thing that I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's a golf tournament like no other. So to be there for that was special. And the fact that we got those chairs placed in the right spot, that whole process, to me, it's part of it that we'll talk about forever. When I get home to the home course and play golf with my buddies, I'll get drilled about that day over and over and over. It was incredible how close we were to it all. Well, we could hear the putts go in on 18. That's how close we were to the hole.
Yeah.
You could hear clink. and I don't hear
You could
that
also hear Terrell Hatton's thoughts on the 18th.
Yeah, I called that. I said when Terrell Hatton, he's kind of like a bad boy potty mouth of golf.
So let's do some comparisons. Is he like the Ike and Nelly of the golfing world, where you roll, you know where he stands at any point of his round, just like you kind of can tell where Ike is.
Like today's
fighter. I could see that.
You know what I mean? Like if like he loses one, he's gonna let you know about it. So yeah, he missed his putt, but I told you, like, we're gonna get a 4-letter word here, and sure enough, boom, he popped it. So
yeah,
definitely, but it was 4-letter word. I forgot how many Masters it was for Bernard Longer, but we were there
over 40.
It was over 40, and we were there, got to give the standing ovation. The patrons, as they're called at the Masters, they're not called fans, we're called patrons for the day. Gave him a standing ovation, and like Fred Couples come through, and I won't bore all the listeners with all that, but I was super cool. It was so cool. And in many ways, that reminds me of like the first time I went to the Classic or the first Elite Series weigh-in I went to, or any of that stuff. Super geeked out over all those guys as well.
Do you think? Let's do a little fishing golf comparison here. This will make a Mark Jeffries proud from back in the day.
Yeah.
Do you think that there should be an exemption for Classic winners, just like there is in the Masters? That once you get your green jacket, you can fish the Classic until you decide not to.
I don't know that I would be okay with that. Who wouldn't be okay with that? Like, there's a lot of the guys that are that go back and do the Masters that are past their primes, or not necessarily as competitive as they once were, but it would make it like more of the nostalgia of, if you're a champion, you can come back and you can represent your sponsors and fans and friends. Would also
Think about this
great coverage too. Yeah, name some
Rick Clunn.
Yeah,
Rick Clunn.
He should get to
Hank Parker, Paul Elias.
What fans wouldn't want to have them, on the water? I don't know. It'd be cool, because it'd be cool to see if
Larry Nixon.
Every year it seems like at the Masters someone gets in contention. One of the like Fred Couple, he's older.
Almost made the cut.
Almost made the cut. He was in
contention
with
Bernard Langer.
So could you imagine, let's say
George Cochran?
Yeah, old Gentle
David
George.
Fritz,
like
Mark Davis, Denny Brower, Davey Height, Jay Yellis, KVD.
Can you imagine that? Like any of those?
Boyd Duckett.
I forgot Boyd won a Classic. That would be wild to have Boyd there.
Ski.
Put them like day one though, then bust the bag day one and be in contention. Like, how dang cool would that be? So
yeah, I think you should. I think if long as you want to, you should get a lifetime invite to the Classic. Yeah, and the field is a normal size. You don't take any spots away from the current Elite Series or Open competitors, but instead of 50, you'd have 65 then, and then you would say, hey, maybe we can cut out some pre-weigh-in shenanigans so we can get through the anglers quicker. And I think guys would enjoy seeing Hank Parker on the stage and Rick Clunn.
Like, I feel like at least at the Masters, and I think it would correlate. It's special for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't get to see Clunn fish a Classic or get to be at a weigh-in watching him do it. Like, that would be a cool deal. I think it'd be a cool deal, especially if you're not taking away spots from anybody, just making an exemption kind of thing.
And there's a lot of live guys over on the golf tour. That's one of the only times they get to see that is in the majors there. So to see Phil come in and put a bunker shot and just put it on a string and just zip it back was freaking cool.
That was pretty sweet. Like DeChambeau, like those guys, it gives the fans a chance to see those guys. That could be a really cool deal though. We may be onto something there.
The other thing that I thought of as I sat on the couch and going, this can't be real, watching Rory win it after 17 attempts to win his first Masters, get the slam and things. It was interesting. The very first thing he said, both in his interview and his press conference, was, what are we going to talk about next year? Because for so many years, over 10 years, the talk was, when is he going to win the Masters and then get the Grand Slam? Hadn't won a major like that in 12, 13 years, something like that. But I also thought, in the fishing world comparison, who who's the Rory McIlroy of the Masters, but in the fishing world? Like who every classic, because we'll compare the Masters to the Classic, it just in significance within the sport, not in grandeur, not in size, not in purse, not in just for that, but who is the Rory McIlroy that goes into every classic now or has that is the pressure is on them because it is the last piece of the puzzle in their career?
Can I go first?
You can go first. I have 3 in mind that are all different for a reason, but I would like you to go first.
I thought of one, and this is just skill based. He's won everything I feel like in the sport. Greg Hackney.
Yep.
He was the first one popped in my head when you said that. Like, now again, there's only like you get one shot a year, so trust me, I can understand why he hasn't won. But he's won everything. He won all the FLW stuff. He's won on the elites. He is a Stone
Angler of the Years, everything.
Everything. He's one that popped into my head first. Was like, I bet you like 30 years from now and his career's done, like people are going to think back like I think of him as someone who has won it because he has been so dominant at times. Yeah.
No, I'm 100%. I think Hackney right now is the number one answer. Another angler that came to my mind, it was Brandon Palaniuk, because just like Rory he had 2 top 5s early in his career.
Yeah.
He had that 2013 on Grand, but every year, he's got Angler of the Years. He's got Elite Series wins. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer when he decides to stop fishing this thing, but he does not have that Bassmaster Classic title. And every year, I think there's questions around Brandon. Will this be the year that Brandon gets his Classic title?
One right there, even over Hackney, because Brandon is like such in his prime, like right now, currently winning so often. I can't believe I didn't think of BP. But again, he's been so successful, I almost feel like he's won it in my brain. I didn't.
Yeah. But just like Rory's had a couple close calls. He's been there and it hasn't panned out for him. Obviously, the number one answer, if you'd ask us this 5 years ago, was Aaron Martin's.
1,000,000%.
With all the second place finishes and things like that. Amart never got the Classic, but like I said, first ballot Hall of Famer for sure. But to me, the 2 easiest answers of currently competing anglers right now are Greg Hackney and Brandon Palaniuk.
I'd be curious
bar none.
If anyone in the comments can think of someone else.
Now I've seen Swindle a couple times, but I know Swindle has 2 Angler of the Years. But Swindle doesn't have the wins to go with those Angler of the Years, which is not taking anything away from Gerald Swindle. It's just a guy like Rory who has all those wins and had already won the 3 other majors, was looking for the career Grand Slam major. It was the last piece to the puzzle. Outside of a Swindle's Open win, this would be the first major tournament victory for Swindle. He's come close, I believe, 1 ounce on Toledo Bend.
Yes. Yeah, I was at that event. He actually told me that he had a fish spit up a gizzard shad that he could have won. It spit up
sickening
in the tank. Yeah,
but no, we're talking about guys who have not won the Classic yet. Guys who have not won the Classic, who it's what they talk about every time. I mean, the emotion. What is similar? What I thought was also interesting. Note watching it is I feel like in bass fishing at the highest level, anglers express their emotions more over the course of the day than golfers do.
As far as
anger, excitement, exclamations of current feelings, vocalization of current feelings. It seems like the golf guys internalize so much more during the round. I've watched a lot of guys fish, Darold and I fish, and you lose a big one, which is like lipping out a 30-foot putter, there's a lot of emotion in the boat.
Yes. I will say that's why Tiger was so polarizing though, because he was the first dude. He makes the 30-footer and he's freaking out, hyping up the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of them still do that. But as far as the negative stuff, when they duck hook one in the woods, I think that mentally they just roll on, start thinking about what they got to do next. I know for myself sometimes I've lost lots of fish, had them in my hands and lost them, it can spin you out. So maybe we need to take some notes there and get some. But like a lot of the golfers actually have mental coaches, like to help them.
Yeah, they were there.
Yeah, they have the whole team there. I guess that'd be another comparison. Is like my team consists of my 2 dogs and my wife, and their team, they have that too. A lot of them travel with their family, but they have a swing coach, a mental coach, a lot of them have
coach,
a physio guy. Yeah, then they have a short game coach, and then they have their caddy. Where like we're out there, like I don't have someone saying, you know what, Darold, you can see 4 inches here at the Big B. You might want to perhaps throw a little black and blue. I don't have those offers where they're talking about like, what type of shot, what iron to hit, all that. Like it's kind of a different, I guess that makes us we are a little more alone, I think, in fishing.
Here's my last thought of the comparisons, Darold. And I know this has been talked about in the bass fishing world a lot. How this is going to happen. There's always been a segment of anglers that are the top tier anglers in the world that for a long time fished the Forest Wood Cup. Your Scott Martins, David Dudleys, Brian Thrifts. Yeah. And then you had the Bassmaster, and then you had a lot of intermingling for a number of years. You had the Jacob Wheelers and the Dustin Connells and that, and Brent Ehlers that all, had kind of came. And then it was a separation again with the BPT and the Elite Series. I liked being able to watch Rory swing a club and then look to my right and DeChambeau was playing. Yeah. I like being able to watch Mickelson come in. I like the fact that I know that there's a lot of back and forth as far as world golf rankings or not. And I understand that Bassmaster is a private, there's a lot of caveats to this. I understand that Bassmaster is a privately owned group where their biggest moneymaker is the Bassmaster Classic. It is what they hang their hat on. It is the pinnacle of bass fishing and always will be as long as it's in existence. However, if we're taking it into consideration along with the Masters, there is a part of me that thinks it is time to put an impartial world angler ranking together that is run by an impartial entity that brings together a Jacob Wheeler, a Drew Gill, a Todd Faircloth, an Ott Defoe, a Brian Thrift to fish against a Patrick Walters, a Brandon Polinick, a Justin, like a Swindle, to bring all those guys together. And in a perfect world, I think you still call it the Bassmaster Classic, and it is the Bassmaster Classic, and you're qualifying through world ranking points and where you are in the standings. Purists are going to not like that. Some might say I'm a purist on this, but after watching it at the Masters, I'm like, dude, fishing would be awesome like this. But it would have to be the Classic. It couldn't be a TTBC. It couldn't be another one-off. It couldn't be a King of the Hill best of the best. It would have to be Bassmaster opening it up and saying you are now qualifying through the world rankings, and the Bassmaster Classic is now a standalone event.
Yeah. So I'll go down a different path with you. Something I thought would be so cool. The Ryder Cup.
Yeah, the Ryder Cup, definitely. For different teams, that would they kind of have that, the Ryder Cup for like USA Bass in a way, but as far as how they are, I lost you there for a second, but I was just saying go down that Ryder Cup path, because that's also I've also thought about that.
Again, as a golf fanatic, Ryder Cup's one of the coolest events to attend. That's the one on my bucket list now. Go to a Ryder Cup. It's US versus Europe. Like, I think a made for TV. And it doesn't. There's like, they do it in a respectful way. There's not hate, but it's competition. A BASS versus MLF, and who knows, like maybe in a few years even MPFL. Like, but a made for TV where like there's a qualifying system. You take 10 from each one. You have 3 days of competition. You could. But
you're going organization, not where they're from. You don't want to go USA versus the world, where you put the Johnsons and Gussie and Carl on a team and some dudes from South Africa and the top South American.
it would probably just be U.S. versus Canada. We would dominate. I mean,
you would have to throw France,
have a
South
lot of-
Africa, Australia.
but we don't
I
have.
think
a lot
that
of
would be fair.
Australia, we do. Yeah, maybe because we
The
have Japan as
Reigning
well.
angler of the year is Canadian.
Yeah, I know, but that's
Coop, Gussie, the Johnstons.
you're talking.
I mean,
you're talking. About
you could throw a
It
Jamie Bruce in there.
may not be fair for us Americans, and then also you have Japan. So
Yeah.
I mean, you could go
Throw
your route.
Japan,
as well.
Takahiro Koya.
Yeah, you could go that
Taco.
route, as well. But like
Dude, you would have to do that.
whether you did it from countries or whatever. But again, like I think either what you're saying or what I'm saying, organization
Kenta.
versus organization, like a made for TV. And again, no points on the line, whatever. But like that'd be a cool deal, I believe.
But you make it mean something.
Make it mean something. Like I think the Ryder Cup deal, like just now the players are starting to get paid. Before they were just kind of like their expenses were paid.
Mhm.
But it was literally for the cup for your country. So maybe you're right. Maybe the country part would be better.
And I think you rotate it every 2 years. It's in the United States, and then the next time it's in Canada,
Yeah.
or then it's back in the United States. Then it's in Japan. Then it's
That's how
back
they
in the
do it.
United States.
They go back and forth. So it gives like the home crowd a chance each time to cheer.
There is Team USA Bass. They do compete internationally for it,
Yeah.
but there are some incredibly talented anglers who have and do fish that. But I think even everybody on that team would say, is this the 12 best anglers that the United States has to offer? And that answer is no.
Right. And do the other countries, I mean, I'm not
I
familiar
don't
with
know how they determine
Like-
it. But if you did, I mean, if you put together the best international
Yeah.
on a 12-man team and the best in the United States, regardless of where they fish, and it's a whole year process of selecting it, and everybody knew it, and then you had the selection day, and you had it. This is where we're fishing this year, historic, at the Toledo Bend, at Gunnersville, whatever. We're going over to Biwa then. We'll go up to Lake of the Woods for a year for one of them.
a really cool event. And like you could even bring some legends into it that way too, like they have a
Absolutely.
captain. So like each team gets their captain, and that's maybe they select the pairings and the matches and stuff. Like,
I mean, it'd be Kevin Van Dam.
how would it not be? But could you? It switches every year, so it could be a Rick Clun one year or a Bill Dance. Like you could go really like any way you want to with that. I think that'd be a fun event, and we need more of that in fishing, to where it's like standalone value. It's not just organizations doing their thing. That's for the players, for the fishermen and for the fans. And honestly, even for the sponsors, it'd be a good deal for the sponsors. It could be like a really cool event to get rolling. Me and you's going to have to step our game up, though, if we're ever going to qualify for Team USA. I'm just saying, we got to do better.
I agree. What else you got, Darold?
Fixing to rig up all my stuff for the Big B and get ready to go compete on this.
Well, thank you for an amazing couple of days in
dude.
Georgia. What county were we in?
Columbia County.
Columbia County, Georgia.
Yep. Really cool place. Anyone out there like wants to get over there, like we'll have a video out soon of some of the places we went, some of the stuff we done. So like check that out on our socials and all that stuff. But like a really cool place to go visit and hang out for a few days. I'm going back at some point.
Yep. And then thank you for also letting me tag along on the
Yeah, dude.
bucket list event of a lifetime.
Yep. Never take that hat off your head. It looks good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I might take it off. I have no money left, but I can take this hat off and put another Masters hat on.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks, Darold. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Good luck on Tom Bigby this week.
Gonna show out. Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.
All right. See ya. All right. There you go. Darold Gleason. We're going to take our first break of the show. We almost did, but we got Elon came in at the end there. We got through strong on that. If you don't follow the Gleasons, him and his wife Randy, they camp everywhere. So they go to all these different campgrounds and sites and all this stuff. And they use Starlink. So sometimes you have a fantastic signal. And they had a good signal this time, just not fantastic. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the man, the myth, the legend. This event, from what I have read and seen on the Tom Bigby, I'm thinking a little Red River-ish. I'm thinking a little James River. I'm thinking a little grimy. There's a guy who likes to get up and mess around with those cypress trees and jack on them. I'm thinking this could be a little run for Charlie Hartley. It should be right up his alley. We'll get to Charlie after our first break. The show will be back right after this. It's BTL on a Tuesday. Darold Gleason, Charlie Hartley will be back right after this. Pro Bass Adventures is reinventing Mexico bass fishing. With boats equipped with 12-inch Garmin units and LiveScope Plus, free loaner fishing rods, and no-cost airport transportation, Pro Bass Adventures is proudly putting you in the best position for success. Pro Bass Adventures has lodges on Lake Baccarat and Lake El Salto, Mexico's two best trophy largemouth bass lakes. Visit probassadventures.com or email probassadventures@gmail.com. The official Mexico fishing lodge of Bass Talk Live.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top on Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFTCO. Any fish, any water.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, the truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Tuesday. It's now time to go to everybody's favorite angler, and that is the eternal optimist, Charlie Hartley. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, Matt, and the two listeners that are left after listening to golf talk for an hour, I'm sorry for that.
Hey, we talk about, well, so it used to be, you remember what Jeffries used to say?
Yeah.
Welcome to Bass Talk Live, where we talk
went.
about bass fishing and anything else we want to talk about. I'm
You
afraid
changed it to bass fishing, and I'm glad you had fun at the Masters. And my dad and brothers are golfers. I was forced to take golf lessons as a young kid, and that's the best way to turn a kid off on a sport. And I love golf, but when I turn on Bass Talk Live,
but I was comparing. I was trying to compare some of the things in golf that work for millions of loyal listeners.
I'm just
and try to
kidding, man.
slide that over into
you.
the fishing aspect of it. I know. You know what's crazy is, Charlie, there's a lot of those guys that were in the Masters that are built like just like you, like wiry, athletic, and you're like, how does a dude that weighs $150 hit a ball 380 yards? But they do.
Yeah, pretty cool about our sport and golf. There's not really physical limitations. It helps to be tall, of course, to hit the ball longer or to see sight fish when you're standing up 7 feet in the air compared to 5'8". But it's awesome to hear about it. I love the Masters. Believe it or not, I actually listen to golf on satellite radio. The only thing worse than watching golf is listening to golf. But my dad used to watch hours of it. I love watching the final round. The last 3 or 4 holes are a playoff. I know just enough about it to really appreciate the skill. It's just like fishing. Are these guys that good? Well, if you're a golfer and then you go see these guys play, yeah, they're that good. And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I kind of teased it before we left that the Tom Bigby, from what I've just seen about it on the surface, seems like it should be a playground for you, Charlie.
Yes, is Darold here? I just looked at the roster and he's listed. Is he here?
No.
That's what
he's there. No, he's fishing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
He's not on the show anymore. He's gone off of the show.
No. I meant he's in town. I couldn't recognize the backdrop.
No, he's in town.
He had a much nicer hotel than I do.
He's in his RV.
Oh, that looked a lot nicer than my hotel.
No, it's a top-notch RV.
Yeah, I don't know if you talked to Daryl about the Tom Bigby at all. They had flooding here 2 weeks ago. That's the first thing I heard when I checked into the hotel. We have no elevators. We have no Wi-Fi ever since storm. They call it the storm. They had a storm 2 weeks ago, and you can still see the damage. And the river, unfortunately, is just recovering. You used the word Red River, which is well described. It looks so fishy, Matt. It looks so honey, Charlie Stumphole Swamp. It looks as fishy as it could look. And you flip at all this beautiful stuff and all this grass, and it's so hard to get a bite. Unless I'm misreading something, a lot of my friends that I trust have asked me in practice, are there any bass in this river? It's going to be grimy. It's a 14-inch limit. You can get a lot of 10 to 12-inch bites. A 14-incher is going to be like gold. I'm sure someone will figure out scoping, but it does not look like a scoping venue to me. Kind of, again, like Red River. It's a mud hole. There are some deeper waters towards the dam. There's some open water, but it's certainly muddy. I can't see scoping playing, but I wouldn't have seen scoping playing at the Patacasank River. If you'd have looked at that river they were just at, you wouldn't have thought scoping right off. So someone will figure out how to look at these cypress trees with their forward-facing sonar and figure out which ones have fish on them. I even tried that some because it's so hard to flip down a beautiful stretch of cypress and just fight for a bite. I mean, fight for a bite. It's a small fishery. Each pool's only about 25 miles long, but really only the bottom 3 or 4 miles of it have backwaters. Other than that, it's just a river. It supposedly, and I'm sure it did, I read it had Florida stocking in it for years. I fished a 2004 Bassmasters event here that Paul Elias won in the fall, and he had an 8-pound, 9-ounce bass. So there's no doubt there's
Holy smoke.
There's no doubt there's Florida strain bass in here. Matt, in that tournament, I'll never forget it. It was a 3-day tournament, and Paul caught more in the last day than anyone else had caught in 3 days. He had one bag.
Like Kyle Welcher.
Yeah. He had one bag over 20 pounds, and nobody even broke 10 pounds hardly the other day.
Here's what's sticking out to me too, Charlie. So I just pulled it up. I have no idea where this is on it, but I wanted to look at it. It looks like the river itself is way narrower than like the Arkansas River. And I just pulled this up on the recreation.gov website. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing barge. I'm going down there and I'm seeing barge, and I'm looking at that barge, and I'm looking at how wide that river is. I mean, this thing is narrow and snaky.
And there's a lot of debris floating down the river. I don't mean to be a whiner, but I've hit things every day. And the backwaters do not have good navionics, do not have...
and like I said, totally random, but for the listeners, like, that's what one of the backwaters looks like. And there's tons of this stuff. And you're looking at that on Google Earth just going, oh, that's interesting.
Yep. With no topography on your GPS, that's all no wake. And then you'll see a local get up and run, and you get right in his wake and run with him. Like, okay, here's a safe place to run. But your butt is puckered up every time you put it on plane. A lot of those are man-made quarries before it was flooded. And you don't know if it's going to be 20 feet or 6 inches. I've spent more time with my motor trimmed all the way up, spitting mud out my water squirter. I had to get out of the boat once yesterday, got myself hung up just by trolling motor. You know, I did get the new Minn Kota Quest trolling motor a few weeks ago. Best investment of my life here. And what a test. This is a great test field for it. I've hit more cypress stumps. I've been on the bottom with it. That thing is strong enough to pull that Ranger over mud. So I don't have to get out as often and push, but I've definitely got mud under my toenails, and a lot of the guys here have mud under their toenails, and it's a different mud on the bottom of this thing. Even the water spots on your boat are different. You know, I skipped on Norfolk, and after I saw what happened to you, Matt, I'm so glad I skipped on Norfolk. It was another time that I'd have been sitting in a hotel room for a week.
Oh, yeah.
But after Kentucky Lake, when it rained mud on me, it literally rained mud on me. God was trying to tell me, quit going to the Central Division. Don't go to Norfolk. After it rained mud at Kentucky Lake, I'd had about enough. So I saw the weather forecast for Norfolk. I'm in worse condition in the points in that division than you. So I'm investing all my
hard to do, Charlie.
Yeah, in Division One, I'm still alive in Division One.
Nice.
I am going to go up to Leech Lake just because it looks like somewhere you want to go. I wish our tournaments went to places that you looked forward to going. I know it's the Opens, but I'll tell you what, Columbus, Mississippi, and the Tom Bigby River is not somewhere I'm going to buy my vacation or retirement property. I can tell you that right now. But someone's going to win a tournament. Someone's going to win a tournament. Someone's going to go to the Bassmasters Classic. And I had a similar attitude when I won the James River. It's going to be tough. It's going to be making every bite count. It's going to be putting yourself near fish. The biggest problem with this is with our 3 days of practice, and as small as this water is, the first day you could go to some places and get some bites. By the second day, all the good-looking stuff had been flipped. By the third day, it all been flipped 4 or 5 times. By the third day, it's hard to get a bite. The fish that are up and obvious, you know, have a hole in their mouth. So someone's going to figure something out offshore. Believe me, I tried to get out on that main river. I tried dragging shaky heads. There's spotted bass in here. They may become an option, but a 14-inch spotted bass in this river is going to be a big one. They're not like spotted bass out of Table Rock. And that, you know, even the locals looked at me like, you're going to have to deal or play with the cards that were dealt you, boy, because you look
because of the weather. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been bad. I looked up their little Wednesday night hustles, and they're allowed 3 fish. And if you have 3 fish for 5 pounds, you win. So it's it's a 14-inch limit. So it's I could be totally wrong. I've been dumbfounded in the last couple of years by the weights these kids catch with the electronics. And someone might bring in a 20-pound bag, but I'm thinking double-digit bags going to be a big deal. I'm thinking 10 pounds, 5 fish is going to be a big deal. But I've been proven wrong over and over again. But I'm not a great tournament fisherman, but I've fished a lot of tournaments. And based on my practice, this is going to be a tough tournament. I mean, I'm a pretty good fisherman, and it's pretty damn hard to get a bite.
Do you like the off day, Charlie?
Running my business, yes, it's invaluable to me because it's a day I can have a virtual meeting with all my department heads. It's a day I can get caught up. This one really caught me off guard, Matt. It started a day early. Our practice started a day early, and to be honest with you, I didn't notice it on the schedule. And I usually get to the venues a day early just so I can acclimate. I need a day to recuperate from the drive and to get moved in. Thank goodness I came a day early because when I woke up on Saturday, I thought I was going to have a day to acclimate, and I'm buying my Mississippi license. And I look on the schedule, and I'm like, oh, crap, this is first practice day. So I luckily I get up early enough. I didn't miss any help. I didn't miss any of my practice day. I don't want to read that.
Well, no. Will just said that he lived in Columbus, Mississippi when they created the Tom Bigby Waterway, and he lived along the Luxa-Pilala River. He said, which when he lived there was just a little creek.
Yeah, and it's
pretty
really
cool.
neat. It's really neat. It was all dammed up just for navigation, and that's the other concern. There are barges, and we're allowed to lock. And those barges, I watched one lock through yesterday. It took them an hour and a half. That could kill you.
Oh my gosh!
You could lock either direction here. You can go a long ways after you lock. But I don't know if you're locking into better water. I don't know if the other pools got stocked with Florida strain bass like this one did. The nice thing about locking is less pressure, but after the first day of practice, everyone went to the other pools because you could see the whole pool in one day of practice. It was pretty quick thinking to say, I need to go to the next pool tomorrow.
This sounds like an absolute wild card. This sounds like Bass said, hey, we're going to send you guys to somewhere that is a 180 from what we've been doing the last couple years. And
yep.
I mean, it literally sounds like it's up for grabs. And
I think so. I think
the locals have a big advantage here, Charlie.
Locals have a huge advantage because they can put themselves in the right place. When you're not getting bites, you don't know if you're around fish. That's the scary part. You can be the best flipper on a cypress tree, and if there's no fish on those trees, you're just the best flipper on those cypress trees. So that's concerning. It is a beautiful place, though. I've seen beavers, snakes, eagles, osprey. You know how positive I am.
Some of those
I
things
love
are beautiful, not all of them.
Yeah, I love the exploring. It's really fun to explore. You keep going in these backwaters, and you think if you turn the next corner or the next corner, you might find a honey hole. But it seems to me the further you get away from the main river, the further you get away from fish. I don't know with the water level where it is. It looks like about normal pool, but most of these backwaters, if this is normal pool, do not have enough water to have resident fish, if you know what I'm saying. A lot of these backwaters do not have channels or a ditch, to make them feed in there.
I've been getting a couple texts from you. So I get a text on Thursday.
I got to tell you about
this. This is just not fair. So you show up in Florida to the Wednesday nighter with Terry Seagraves, and it's Terry Seagraves and Charlie Hartley, and then you go out and just take literally everybody's money in every category that you can earn money in.
That's I love
yes or no question. Florida. That's what happened. Yes or no? It's a yes or no question.
On a high note, Matt, and you talked about Darold said hitting a hole one is like catching a 10-pounder with your buddy. Well, we fish Wednesday morning tournament and we fish Wednesday evening tournament. And Terry and I fished against each other in the Wednesday morning tournament. And he goes, are you going to fish the Wednesday night tournament? And I go, oh, probably not. I need to get packed up to go to Mississippi. And then after we got done weighing in, I said, you know what? I think I will fish Wednesday night. He goes, why don't you just fish with me? Just jump in my boat. So I jumped in his boat and we're at blast off. And I looked at Terry. He goes, get the net out from under the console there. Well, I dig way up under there. I go, Terry, there's no net. He goes, oh, it's up under there. I go, no, it's not. He looks up under there. He goes, we don't need a net. We're men. I go, you know what's going to happen without a net, Terry. We're going to hook the biggest bass in the lake every time. And we were struggling. We had 5 fish, but they didn't weigh much. And Terry, I know when I fish with a guy that has more experience with me than me to just shut up and listen. And he goes, I think we need to go back where we caught those little ones to start. I think they'll turn into big ones. I kind of roll my eyes like, yeah, okay, let's go back through there. Well, we went back through there and he hooked that 9-pounder and he goes, oh, Charlie. And when it came up and rolled, I thought for sure it was over 10. And I go, no net, Terry, no net, bring her to me. And I laid down there on my belly. And the first time she got near me, I tried to put my hands around her, and she didn't like that at all. She just headed back out. And I went, oh, Terry, bring her again, buddy. Bring her again. And he brought her again, and I put both hands in that mouth because when you land a big one, you grab them with both hands. And he had to pull me back up over the gunnel. And, I mean, we caught 3 or 4 more good ones after that and weighed in at dark, and we won and had big bass. And that's just how you want to leave Florida. We had a ball. We literally, one of my best friends in the world, I've known him before Tracy. I met him fishing Bass Masters 35 years ago. And He's not young. He's a lot older than me. And when he hooked that fish, he was 12 years old, man. I love our sport. I don't care how many bad days you have one experience like that, and for the whole year, your sails are full. I mean, that was just a very emotional, most fun I've had fishing in years. When you catch a big fish by yourself, it's cool. But when you're with your buddy and he catches that big one and you're not jealous at all, you're happy as hell. That's a great feeling. That is one of the great, you can't buy feelings like that, Matt. You cannot buy that feeling. You have to go to that tournament and be there. And I almost didn't go because I was so dejected by the Wednesday morning tournament. And as long as you go out there, magic can happen. If you sit at home on your couch and watch other people, they'll have all the magic, and you'll get to watch them have magic. But you got to go. You got to go. You never know if you don't go.
I don't think we can get much better than that to end the show out, Charlie.
I was on a roll, Matt. I was on a roll.
That was a great roll. I mean, there's nothing I can add to that. That's just great life advice in any aspect.
Matt, you've been having a great life. You've been to the Masters. You've been everywhere. The Classic, looks like you had a ball at the Classic.
Oh, yeah. No, it was a great time.
And you and Frank had fun together. I mean, I'm tickled to death for you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, it's been a good roll. So, well, I'll let you go. Enjoy your off day, Charlie. Enjoy the meeting today. Enjoy 3 lovely days on the Tom Bigby Waterway in Columbus, Mississippi.
Returning to the Buckeye State from here, so watch out, Central Ohio. I plan to return to fish the local tournaments for the next 2 months.
Fair warning for all those in Central Ohio. Get your W's in now before Charlie Hartley returns to wreak havoc on the standings.
All right, everyone root for me this week. Keep watching the weigh-ins. Even if I don't have a big bag, I'll be the happiest guy on stage. Everyone have a great week.
All right, see you, Charlie.
Bye, buddy.
All right, that is Charlie Hartley. And I'm not going to lie. Like, I pulled up that picture of Terry Seagraves. He has sent me like 3 or 4 photos this year of him with what looks to be 7 to 11 pound largemouth with that damn torpedo in their mouth. Charlie is just, it's cool to see. Like, look, I'll show this little one. He sent this to me. He's not on anymore, so I can't get in trouble for it. Like, look at the size of the lip on that thing. And there it is. The torpedo. Charlie, I remember I've got it. I've actually, I think it's out in the, do I still have it up there? I've got a torpedo that's in the box, and it's strictly just because Charlie Hartley brought it back. But that's all we got for today. Working on John Pearl tomorrow for the One Bass Clear Lake Open, who set the record. The dude guides, he coaches baseball, all sorts of stuff. So we're gonna try to get him on. If not, we'll be back same time, same place. Big shout out to Darold for jumping on in the first half of the show. Can't express how much I appreciate that he called and said, hey, you're gonna go catch some blueback fish and go to the Masters. This is my one time I won't be AFCO'd out on the show. I got the little flag and the Masters logo. This is also one of only 2 garments that I purchased. I did get quite a few hats. So that's all we got for today. BTL on Tuesday, same place, same time tomorrow. Go root on Charlie Hartley on Bassmaster.com on the Tom Bigby Waterway. I think I could see, I might see a little torpedo. I definitely think he's going to have his little worm, his little river ringworm. I think he's talked about that on the show a bunch. I could see a little jig, something Texas rigged. All sorts of options on the Tom Bigby. So this is BTL. We'll talk to everyone tomorrow. See ya.